Hey Salty Online, thanks for joining us today. I'm Madison.
And I'm Miles. We're so glad that you're here.
Yep, and we're about to step into a time of worship together where we're singing some songs about how good our God is. We invite you to join us.
Well, hey friends, welcome to Salty Church. We're so glad that you're here. Would you stand with us? I'm Miles, if we haven't already met. And hey, we're gonna sing a new song today. It's an old song historically, but it's a new song to us here at Salty. And it talks about this, it kind of encapsulates this one word, and that word is Jubilee. You see, back in Bible times, there was what they called a year of Jubilee every 50 years. And during this time, like cultural, economic, everything just took this full reset. The land and the people just took time to rest. And not only was it that, but it was also a celebration because slaves were actually set free to return to their homes and to return to their communities. And I couldn't help but think, man, what if we introduced this song and thought about, because we're in this Summer Story series, people being released and people being set free from their sin and the things in the before and the afters on these cards that we're writing. So I would just think about that and let's celebrate that together. Let's sing this. Open up the doors and let the music play. Let the streets resound with singing songs that bring and songs that bring your hope and songs that bring your joy. Dancers who dance upon injustice. Come on, can we put our hands together today? Hey! Sing this with me. Did you feel? Did you feel the mountains tremble? Did you hear the oceans roar? When the people rose to sing up, Jesus Christ, the risen one. Yeah. Did you feel? Did you feel the people tremble? And did you hear the singers roar? When the lost began to sing up, Jesus Christ, the saving one. Yes, he is. Sing this. We can see that God, you move. A mighty river through the nations. Young and old return to Jesus. Fling wide you heavenly gates. Prepare the way of the risen Lord. Yeah. Let's sing this, come on. Open up the doors and let the music play. Let the streets resound with singing. Songs that bring your hope and songs that bring your joy. And dances who dance upon injustice. Hey. Come on, hands together. Hey. Let's keep singing. Did you feel? Did you feel the mountains tremble and all the saints join in one song? And then the streams flow as one river to wash away our brokenness. Aren't you thankful for that today? And we can see that God, you're moving. The time of Jubilee is coming. Young and old return to Jesus. Yeah. And fling wide found in your name, power to save. With only a whisper, mountains shake. Jesus, our hope and strength. Yeah, see it. And you made a way. You unlock these chains. Here in your presence, strongholds break. We're freed by the love you gave. Would you sing this with me? We give, come on. And we give you the highest praise. You deserve it all. You deserve it all. And we give you the highest praise. You deserve it all. You deserve it all. Sing there on the tree. And there on a tree, a merciful King, broken and shamed for all to see. The Father laid down His Son from darkness, but from darkness to light. Oh, death lost a lie. Heaven and earth will join and sing. Jesus has overcome. Oh, we give you the highest praise. You deserve it all, and you deserve it all. We give you the highest praise. You deserve it all, and you deserve it all. We give you the highest praise. You deserve it all. Oh, you deserve it all, and we give you the highest praise. And you deserve it all. Yeah. With every breath that's in my lungs, my heart cries out, to you belongs the glory. Through every loss, through every loss, victory, my soul will rise to only bring you glory. With every breath, down. Hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. Sing on the earth, and all the earth will shout your. We believe it. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. We're gonna sing it again. Would you lift your voice with me today? And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, and these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. We sing, come on. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. And we give you the highest praise. You deserve it all. Yes, you do. And we give you the highest praise. You deserve it all. You deserve it all. We give you the highest praise. Oh, you deserve it all. And you deserve it all. And we give you the highest praise. You deserve it all. With every breath that's in my lungs, my heart cries out. To you belongs the glory. Oh, the glory. And through every loss, victory, my soul will rise to only bring you glory. Oh, the glory. We bring you the glory. Yeah. Yes, we do today. 'Cause you're worthy, 'cause you're worthy. Oh, just sing this with me, just the voices. We give you, and we give you the highest praise. 'Cause you deserve it all. You deserve it all. We give you the highest praise, and you deserve it all. You deserve, sing it again. Oh, we give you the highest praise, 'cause you deserve it all. You deserve it all. We give you the highest praise, 'cause you deserve it all. Oh, you deserve it all. Come on, if you're thankful, can you lift up some praise? Amen. Thanks for singing with us.
Hey, thanks for singing with us. Every week, we like to direct your attention to fill out our digital connection card. This is our primary tool we like to use to help get you connected. So whether you're new, want to share your prayer request, or mark your interest or questions in next steps, you can do that all at salty.org. Click connect and fill out that card.
Yeah, and another awesome opportunity we have for people to get connected. A next step is Discover Salty. And we're actually going to have that August 13th, which is next Sunday, across all of our campuses. So if you're local, you can find a time and a location near you to sign up for that at salty.org/events.
Another great next step opportunity we have coming up for you is making sense of your worth. If you've ever struggled with your self-worth or wondered what you believe about yourself, where those beliefs come from, then this class is for you. Our self-worth is a significant part of who we are and plays a major role in every decision we make and every relationship we have, including our relationship with God. Making sense of your worth will help you overcome your past because we all have pain in our past.
Yeah,
so you're free to be who God sees you to be. Making Sense of Your Worth is an 8-week series starting on Wednesday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. beginning August 16th at the Ormond location. And there is a cost, $50, due at registration, and scholarships are available. So for more details or to sign up, go to salty.org/events.
Super excited to see all that's going to happen in that class. And each week we take time to connect with God and to connect with each other, continuing in our worship. And if you're new to Salty, we'll put a timer up on the screens, and during which this time you can connect with us or others. Drop a comment, let us know where you're watching from, maybe let us know what your favorite part of service is. You can request prayer if you're watching online at salty.org. There's a bar below that you should be able to just click prayer, and we have a team that prays for those every Tuesday and prays for them individually and corporately. So, or you can participate in communion. Just take a moment to pause and remember Jesus and the sacrifice he made through communion. And if you want to learn more about communion and what we do, why we do it, just go to salty.org/communion. And lastly, you can participate with us through your giving at salty.org/give.
Yeah, giving is great. Generosity is an outward expression of an inward commitment. So how you use your money always reveals what your priorities are. And generosity helps make the mission of Jesus a priority in our lives and helps us express our trust in God as our source and our provider. And the discipline of generosity, being regularly faithful like that, helps shape our priorities. And every time you give, you partner with us in the mission to rescue and empower disciples for Jesus. So thank you for your commitment to the mission here. And with that in mind, let's head into connection time.
We are back as we transition into our teaching time, as we are in the midst of our series, Summer Stories. And we've got more stories for you. And today I've got some help, obviously, as you're watching here. I've got Jeff Chase on with me as he is the director of Salty Family Services. And we're going to tell you some more stories. But let me say first, welcome again. Welcome everybody who's watching online. Welcome all the folks who are in New Smyrna Beach. What's up, guys? And everybody in Flagler. And as we transition, we've got a new campus pastor in Flagler. We're real excited about that. And welcome Todd and his family. Really cool days. And I'm excited to tell you about all kind of cool stuff. But for now, some stories. And to me, this is a fun thing to do. I think it's powerful, and especially today, as we've got some really special things in store for you. So hang on to your hat here. But what we're going to do is start off. I'm going to tell you a little bit, Jeff and I will tell you about Salty Family Services, and we're going to tell you some stories out of that, but the stories need some context. Like some of you don't even know what Salty Family Services is. And so we're going to tell you about what that is first, why it matters, and then more importantly, I want you to hear some of the story out of that, and then we're going to close with something super cool today. So with that said, let's get into some what is Salty Family Services so that people understand why he's here. Jeff, describe Salty Family Services and what you guys do.
Yeah, sure. So for the last 10 years, Francis and I, my wife Francis and I, have been blessed to be able to lead Salty Family Services. And our mission is to rescue, serve, and empower families to prevent child abuse and neglect. So we're really focused on engaging the community in Volusia County, Flagler County, for families that are just really struggling, going through some hard times. Over at our rescue station, we field incredible amounts of phone calls and walk-ins of people just coming in just desperate for rescue. A lot of that's financial, but it's also a lot of emotional stuff, and a lot of spiritual stuff that comes with that as well. So we take in all those calls, all those walk-ins. We process those. And we also assess everybody. We call everybody back, and we're kind of vetting families to see if they want to walk through life with us. Because it's not just about paying a financial bill. It's about trying to empower them so they're more stable. To be able to walk this life on their own. So with any financial assistance that we provide to a family, we partner them with what we call a mentor, and they walk through life with them weekly, going out to their homes, meeting with them, creating goals, and just helping this family attain some stability. So when we leave, they can maintain that, and the risk of any kind of DCF intervention is greatly reduced.
Yeah. So we're specializing in families with young children, because we can't help absolutely everybody, so we're specializing in that. Key words there were rescuing, we're serving, we're empowering, but the big thing that really struck me as I was thinking about all this is we're working toward prevention. And prevention is powerful because, the government works hard at responding to needs after they've occurred. So for instance, I'll show you a couple things real quick. Volusia County and Flagler County, Department of Children and Families, 7,000 reports in 2022. That resulted in 346 children being removed out of probably a dangerous situation and put into foster care. So they're responding to difficult situations and crisis. And we see that and we're like, man, somebody's got to do something, right? And so that's where Salty Family Services said, and you know what, DCF is already responding to the crisis. What if we spend our time in prevention? That's a big deal. So let me show you a couple other numbers real quick. We, in the last 12 months, over a period of 12 months, have supported 360 families. That's a new family, almost one every single day. More than 2 kids, new children every day are being helped because of Salty Family Services. 5,600 hours of mentoring. 80% of our families are with single moms. It's a big deal. It is a remarkable big deal. And how that happens is a staff of 7, 22 volunteers, and 5 partnership churches working together to do all of that. And let me tell you why prevention matters. Is a little subnote to the whole what we're trying to do here. But watch this. This is just mind-blowing. Salty Family Services helped 791 children, and it cost us about $355,000, about $450 per kid. But look at those numbers in response to the crisis that DCF has used. If you have the same number of children put into care, that's $14 million spent in response to the problem. And what we're doing is having a big impact at a significantly less cost, preventing kids from going into foster care.
And that's the dollar value, not about the trauma and everything else that we're trying to prevent as well.
Is that a big deal? I think it's a big deal. I think it's huge. A little sub-note, I don't want to go into an anti-government rant, but if the church was doing a better job of what a church is supposed to do, the government would have less to do. And I think it's on us as a church to make the world a better place. This is our part of in trying to do that. And you, as a part of Salty Church, are a part of making that happen. To me, it's quite significant. And more importantly, and what we want to talk about here for a little bit, is how does any of this happen? One person decides we got to do something. We get 700, the number of kids being taken from their kids every year. There it is, that number right there. Almost 350 a year being taken from their families because it's difficult. Somebody's got to do something. And then that person gets together with somebody else who said, somebody's got to do something. And we get together as a church and we say, somebody's got to do something, and then we do it. And then God adds to those efforts. An amazing thing happens over time. It's powerful. And so I wanted to tell you a little bit about, just to give you a glimpse into it, about what we are doing with Salty Family Service, and that's a big deal. I don't want to take away from that at all. But I think the power of all of this may be seen in their stories. So let me tell you some stories. It starts with your story. So tell us, rewind the tape a little bit. How did you get to where you are right here? Where did you come from? How did you get here? That's a story.
Well, right now I am married, and with, like I said, my wife Frances, and we have soon to be a 20-year-old daughter. But it all started, I was born and raised in Massachusetts, and was really blessed to have a two-parent household, very stable. But at a very young age, I was abused by a neighbor, and that was just the beginning. From there, by 15, I was drinking regularly, heavily, smoking pot regularly, and actually had tried cocaine for the first time at 15. And from there, it just escalated. It just continued to escalate. My father passed away when I was 19 of leukemia. That just triggered a whole bunch of stuff. By 23, I had failed out of college, been arrested 6 times for drugs and alcohol. To say the least, I kind of knew what it was to be not well. I really struggled with life and couldn't figure it out at all, and was really in a tailspin. Well, over time, a little bit of maturity helped. I got away from drugs and alcohol and just started making some life decisions that were a little bit more practical, and I just had a little bit of guidance along the way, found a career, and fast forward, like 38 years old, at that point in time, I had spent my whole life not just choosing not to walk with Jesus, but literally arguing somebody why I thought Jesus was ridiculous. Like, I would tell a Christian, like, their faith was like smoke and mirrors. And I would love those kind of debates and arguments. And so that's where I was in life, just trying to figure it out on my own. And that led me to, I was single at that time and desperately wanted to just find stability in a marriage, just some kind of stability in relationship. So I went to Syracuse to try to rekindle an old flame, and thought maybe that might be a fix. And she had an on-again, off-again relationship with Jesus. Well, the weekend that I went up there, it happened to be on at that point in time. And so the night before I was about to leave, she said, "Do you want to come to church with me tomorrow morning?" And I literally just said, "No." And then she said, "Why?" And I couldn't really come up with a good answer, and my head's like, don't blow this, don't blow this. And so I just said yes reluctantly, and when I walked into that church, a lot of things like came crashing down as barriers of just how I thought the music was going to be corny, and it was like, wow, it's actually good. Like, the message was, I mean, it was even simple as the pastor came out with jeans and a t-shirt on. I'm like, I didn't know that happened in church. Like, I had no idea. And the teaching was, at that day, was the first time I ever heard the gospel, John chapter 5, the man at the pool of Bethesda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let me unpack that real quick, because that was a scripture that made a difference to you. So I want to make sure you hear that. And it's a story where Jesus was heading to Jerusalem, one of the holy days, and inside the city near the sheep gate, there was this pool, and there was this mystical idea that if people were sick or hurt or got all kind of problems, if they could get into the pool at the right time, this mystical understanding of getting healing. So all these people were there. And so many of which looking for help, looking for the healing, much like you were at the time. Crowds of them getting together and laying around on the porch. And then, verse 5, one of the men laying there had been sick for 38 years. So, some kind of significant lifelong disability. Jesus sees him, knew he had been ill for a long time, and said, "Do you want to get well?" Which seems a little sarcastic, maybe, or unkind, or like what are you doing here? Or maybe just kind of looking deeper in his soul, right? What are you looking for? Do you want to get help, or do you want to get healed? I don't know, but that question, that phrasing of that question was quite significant. And the guy in the story is like, well, I can't. I don't have anybody to help get me into the pool when the water bubbles up. And that was their belief about getting this healing. And somebody else is always there, so I can't get help. So I'm just, in its essence, doomed to live like I've been living. So it doesn't matter if I want to get well. But then Jesus says, stand up, pick up your mat, walk. And provided this miraculous healing. And why this man, amongst all of the others who needed help, I don't know. But nonetheless, Jesus is able to do a dramatic, miraculous healing. And so that was the story you heard in church that day. Why did that have an impact on you in some way?
Well, I can tell you, when I got on the plane, I literally went from church to the airport, and I'm on the plane, and I'm flying back to Daytona just going, do you want to get well? I am well. I got a house, I got a career, I'm doing this checklist, I am well. But I was wrestling with, but I'm not, why am I struggling with I'm not well? And so it was really an internal struggle, and little did I know it was the Holy Spirit trying to convict me. And so when I came back here, I didn't know what to do. And through a crazy amount of, another long story in itself, how I landed literally here at Salty. 12 and a half years ago, I came in, I was reading the book, The God Delusion at the time, and studying Buddhism. So that's where I walked in by myself. We were called Beachside at the time, and just was like, okay, let me just see. I'm searching for something. And I just kept on coming back. I kept on feeling like, okay, I'm learning something here. At the bare minimum, I'm interested, I'm being challenged. And a little bit over time, I was just like, okay, I'm starting to really understand this whole Jesus thing a lot more deeper, but still reluctant to say, I want to commit my life to God or anything like that. And you kept on, the first time I ever heard this phrase said, it was in Salty, and you kept on saying about relationships with Jesus. He wants a relationship. And I couldn't square that in my head. What does it look like to have a relationship with someone I can't see, touch, And so I would just go to the beach at night and go, okay, all right, God, if you're real, I'm just going to talk to you like you're sitting next to me. And I aired a lot of grievances. I just kind of talked about the struggles that was going on in me. And quickly, fast forward, I met my wife-to-be on eHarmony. It works, just telling you. And she had an established relationship with Jesus. So she brought, a whole nother level to me of okay, here's your Bible. You got to start reading this thing. And I started reading it, and quickly I started to realize I just don't want to come to church. I want to follow this man, this God, Jesus. I want to follow him. And so I got baptized. I committed my life to him. And through that, I was working in child welfare and really struggling. I was really struggling at my job because I had built this career. And
you were working in the government system. Absolutely. By which kids and children are having to be dealt with
all
through
those
crisis.
Removal stuff, that was part of my job.
You were in the government system. Absolutely. And dissatisfied with the results.
Because it seemed like there needed to be something else could be done. And so I was wrestling with that, and my wife was had a background in project management, and she was hearing me coming home just complaining, and she said something that forever changed our lives, which was, why don't we do something about it? And I literally looked at her, I'm like, well, what does that mean? She's like, I don't know. And so we literally just started just dreaming and just going, okay, what would it look like? And we captured it all and structured it all, and we started a ministry within literally weeks. We're just like, okay, we're going to do this. And the first thing we needed some kind of support is is this going to get off the ground? And we came and met with you and Christy and casted a vision, and you were just like, I'm in. And I was just like, whoa, didn't think that was going to happen. And but you supported us from a distance for a little while, for a couple of years, and then gave us an on-ramp to come on in 2016.
And part of that was born out of the fact that Christy and I have long before and still working through helping kids in foster care and adoption and all of that, and seeing how broken the system is and how just a mess. And so somebody's got to do something. He comes along and says, I want to do something. It's like, great, let's do it. And I gave birth to what has now become Salty Family Services and led to seeing some of the numbers that you're seeing now, and there's more to come. It is quite amazing to consider. And there's a lot of details we skipped over, but it comes from one person having a relationship with Jesus saying, hey, we got to do something, got to make a difference. And then being obedient to that, and then partnering with other people who are obedient to that, it makes a big deal. And so much so that there's thousands and thousands of stories now of lives and families that are being changed regularly. And so with that, why don't you just give two examples of life change stories that have happened through the work that's been done over the last few years?
Absolutely. The first one I think of is Jennifer. She was in a domestic violent relationship with her two kids, and I think it was two kids, and she was up in Pennsylvania. And she literally fled Pennsylvania to come to Flagler because there was a family home that was in foreclosure. And she was just like, okay, this is a safe place. It's a short shelf life. She didn't have a job. She didn't have a car. And part of her testimony was she woke up one day and she kept on hearing in her head, do your laundry, do your laundry. And she was just like, okay.
Sometimes that's your mom's voice, but sometimes it might be God leading. God might be God leading along the way too, so who knows?
Well, she had very little money. She literally walked like 11 blocks to do her laundry. And Salty Flagler was up there doing Laundry Love. So they engaged her. She got connected to us through that. And we started working with her, and that mentor was going out to her home, doing a budget with her. She had never had a budget. And started to get an understanding of what she needed to make. She got a job. There was somebody that donated her a car through our ministry, so that was huge. And we closed out with her just really being empowered to be able to do this. Well, you look fast forward today, she's a homeowner. She has her own cleaning business, and she just texted me 2 weeks ago that one of her employees, she employs people now, is retiring. And one of the things that she was able to do was minister to this woman who had been in a domestic violent relationship and helped her get out and help her heal through that.
Yeah, one of our key values is rescue people, rescue, right? Rescue people, rescue people. And so for you, having experienced rescue, want to help other people, who helps Jennifer, who's helping other people, rescue people. And so as God does his work, we engage with the mission and pass that along. So that's one, but there's hundreds of others. Give me one more.
So Stephanie, man, she went through such a hard life growing up. She was actually sex trafficked at a very young age by a family member. She got hooked on drugs, ended up being a felon as a result of that. It was just trauma, a response to trauma. She had a child and was doing the best she could. She got out of that sex trafficking ring, and she found her way from Mississippi to Daytona. And when we got connected to her, she was homeless and she didn't have a job. But she did have a connection in the community that was going to try to rehouse her or try to put her in a house for the first time. And so they actually did that. And this is some of the problems that we come across. They're like, okay, we paid for you to get in this place. Good luck. And she doesn't have a job. So we met her in that place, and our mentor just really spent a lot of time, more than anything else, just encouraging her and praying for her and just encouraging her. You can do this, you can do this. Well, she found a job that she actually was interested in. It was through a partner of ours, the Beacon Center, which works with domestic violence and women, and they have a shelter. And she's like, I like this job, but I won't pass the background check. So we're just like, well, let's use that connection. And we reached out to the CEO there and just started talking. Hey, we just at least give her a chance. Here's her background. And they're like, yeah, send her in. Well, they waived the background thing, and she got hired. So she's like now got this job, and she's like doing, rescuing, but it doesn't stop there. She actually got an opportunity last year, I think, or maybe 2 years ago, to start working for a Jacksonville organization that is working with trying to get sex trafficked women out. So now she's a part of that, just like being a part of that system. Now she's been rescued, and she's getting a chance to try to get women out of that same scenario she was in.
Yeah, 2 stories, but not totally unique. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those. And so, for me as a part of Summer Stories, to give you a glimpse of that, and knowing that, and when you're a part of Salty Church, you are a part of helping empower more of those stories to happen. So much so, and not so coincidentally, we have an event coming up here September 8th. This is our annual celebration, you might say. It's like a corporate fundraising event, a celebration. September 8th, it's going to be here. And, number one, when you're a part of Salty Church and whenever you give, your generosity helps support this kind of ministry. On top of that, we have corporate sponsors who feed business dollars into this ministry at quite a high level. And so we come together on September the 8th and to have a celebration event. There's more stories that are told. So 2 things. Number one, if you want to come, you want to be a part of it, buy a ticket. Go to salty.org. At the top of the page, you'll see a place you can click on if you want to buy a ticket so you can come and help celebrate with us. Or if you have a business or you work for a business who might be a sponsor to help make sure more of these stories are happening, same thing, salty.org, click on the link, and then both things can happen from there. And so that's a big deal, and we want to make sure you know about that. But lastly, before we go, I think we want to land with that question. The question from John 5 that Jesus asked that one guy. And I can't help but wonder how many folks need to hear that question also. You know, is Jesus asking you, do you want to get well? That, you know, so to talk about other people and other people's stories, it keeps all this at a safe distance. But when Jesus looks at you, it says, do you want to get well? And what we've learned in ministry is not everybody wants to get well. Some people just want a little help here or there. They want, hey, help me feel better for a little bit. But they don't want healing. I think that's why it's a powerful question. Do you want to be healed in some way? And the thing is, what you need to know is Salty Church is not the answer. Salty Family Services is not the answer. Jeff, Robbie, nobody. Jesus is the only answer. He's the one you go to. So we want to make sure we continue to point the way there. And so this weekend on all of our campuses, we have a baptism service. If you want to be a part of that, find a campus pastor or one of us and say, hey, I'm in. Sign me up, and we can talk to you about that question that Jesus is asking. But then with that, there are thousands of you watching or here that have experienced that healing, that have said yes, and there's been transformation. So over the last few weeks, we've been collecting some of the stories. If you were here, you know that. We were doing these cardboard testimonies where you write some words down that describe your experience in some way. So we videotaped all of those, and we want to show you that as a closer today. And so all of our campuses, what we're going to do is play this video, and it'll be meant, we couldn't do all of them because there were so many, but these cardboard testimonies of life change to celebrate what God has done in us and among us. And for one, it's celebrating what God has done, but I think also it's maybe encouragement for those who are still wrestling with that question, do you want to get well? And maybe by your testimonies, others will say, yes, I want to get well. So I want to encourage you to consider that, and then we're going to close out, and what will happen is, just a second, we're going to be playing the video. I want you to see the testimonies. But then that's going to turn into a closing as a time of worship. I think this can be a really powerful moment. And so in the midst of this series and hearing some of these things, I want to continue to just bring it all home to that one key point. Jesus is the answer. And in that, he'll shape your story to be more than you ever could imagine. So with that said, turn your attention to the screen. Let's watch this video.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up till I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice, for you have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. Would you stand with us today? We're going to sing. We're going to celebrate this moment together. We're gonna sing out this bridge together, sing your goodness, come on. And your goodness is running after, it's running after me. And your goodness is running after, it's running out with my life. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. And your goodness is running after, it's running out. Sing it out again, come on. Your goodness is running after, it's running out. Yes, it is. Come on. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now, and I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Cause all my life you have been, if you believe it, would you sing it? And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Sing all my life, come on. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God. Come on, can we celebrate that together?
Yeah, what an awesome message from Robbie and Jeff, and just powerful stories. Seeing those cards flip, it's such a cool thing to be able to participate in and see real life change that's happening every week. And want to thank you for being a part of that and joining us online. It really does help us out if you do like the video, so that we can reach and get this message to as many people as possible. So like the video, maybe subscribe if you want an easy way to come back to us. So thanks. Take care.